Hello children, welcome to biology class. Today we are starting a new lesson, that is chapter 21, neural control and coordination. The topics from this lesson are neuron and nerves, nervous system and human central nervous system, then peripheral nervous system, visceral nervous system, generation and conduction of nerve impulses. In standard 9 we had discussed about the structure of neuron, isn't it children? Do you remember the structure of neuron? Before discussing the structure of neuron in detail, let's discuss about let's discuss the introductory part. Let's start discussion about neural system. The neural system of all animals is composed of highly specialized cells called neurons, which can detect, receive and transmit different kind of stimuli. The neural organization is very simple in lower vertebrates. For example, in Hydra, it is composed of a network of neurons. A neural system is better organized in insects, where the brain is present along with a number of ganglia and neural tissues. The vertebrates have a more developed neural system. Now let's discuss about the human neural system. The human neural system is divided into two parts, the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system includes brain and spinal cord and is a site of information processing and control. Whereas peripheral nervous system comprises of all the nerves of the body associated with the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord. The nerve fibers of peripheral nervous systems are efferent fibers and efferent fibers. The efferent nerve fibers transmit impulses from tissues, organs to the central nervous system, and the efferent fibers transmit regulatory impulses from the central nervous system to the concerned peripheral tissue or organ. This peripheral nervous system is again divided into somatic neural system that relays impulses from central nervous system to skeletal muscle. Then second thing, autonomic neural system that transmit impulses from central nervous system to involuntary organs and smooth muscles, etc. Again, this autonomic neural system is divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic neural system. And the last category is visceral nervous system. It's a part of peripheral nervous system that comprises the whole complex nerves, fibers, ganglia and plexus by which impulses travel from the central nervous system to the viscera and from the viscera to the central nervous system. So let's discuss about this nervous systems in detail in next class. Today we are going to discuss in detail about the structure of neuron. Neuron is a microscopic structure composed of three major parts, namely cell body. This is cell body. See, this is cell body, and here you can see dendrites, then long axon. Which are the three parts? Cell body, dendrites and axon. The cell body contains cytoplasm with a typical cell organelles and certain glandular bodies called Nissus granule. Short fibers which branch repeatedly and project out of the cell body also contains these Nissus granules and are called dendrites. See children, this is cell body. Here you can see branches, dendrites. Okay. Then, the axon, this long part, the axon is the long fiber, the distal end of which is branched. So, here at the distal end you can see branches. Each branch terminates is a bulb-like structure called synaptic knob. Here you can see the synaptic knob. See, these are synaptic knob which possesses synaptic vesicles containing chemicals called neurotransmitters. So here there is presence of chemicals, neurotransmitters. The axon transmit nerve impulses away from the cell body to a synapse or to a neuromuscular junction. Based on the number of axon and dendrites, the neurons are divided into three types: multipolar, bipolar, and unipolar. According to the number of axons present in it. Okay, then there are two types of axons, namely myelinated and non-myelinated. That means here if myelin sheath, see here myelin sheath is present, it is termed as myelinated. If it is absent, it is non-myelinated. The myelinated nerve fibers are enveloped with Schwann cells. See here, you can see on this myelin sheath presence of Schwann cells which form a myelin sheath around the axon. The gaps between two adjacent myelin sheaths are called nodes of Ranvier. Here you can see this space. This is nodes of Ranvier. These myelinated nerve fibers are found in spinal and cranial nerves, whereas unmyelinated nerve fibers are enclosed by a Schwann cells that does not form a myelin sheath around the axon and is commonly found in autonomous and somatic neural system. So that is about the structure of simple neuron. So you have to explain the cell body, dendrites, axon and presence of myelin sheath, Schwann cells, nodes of Ranvier and synaptic knob. If the question is asked to write and draw about a typical neuron. Is it clear, children? Now you observe this diagram, children. Here you can see unipolar neuron, bipolar neuron, multipolar neuron. We discussed based on the number of axon and dendrites, the neurons are divided into three. See what is multipolar? With one axon and two or more dendrites, that is multipolar neuron. Okay, then it is found in central cortex. Okay, then observe this one. This is bipolar with one axon and one dendrite found in the retina of eye. Then this is unipolar neuron, cell body with one axon only, found usually in the embryonic stage. Is it clear? Now let's discuss about the generation of impulse. Neurons are excitable cells because their membranes are in a polarized state. Do you know why the membrane of a neuron is polarized? Different types of ion channels are present on the neural membrane. These ion channels are selectively permeable to different ions. When a neuron is not conducting any impulse, that means at resting time, the axonal membrane is comparatively more permeable to potassium ions and nearly impermeable to sodium ions. So observe this diagram. Similarly, the membrane is impermeable to negatively charged proteins present in the exoplasm. Consequently, the exoplasm inside the axon contains high concentration of potassium ions and negatively charged proteins and low concentration of sodium ions. In contrast, the fluid outside the axon contains a low concentration of K plus ion and high concentration of sodium and thus form a concentration gradient. These ionic gradient across the resting membrane are maintained by an active transport of ions by the sodium-potassium pump, which transport 3 sodium ions outwards for 2 K plus ions into the cells. As a result, the outer surface of the axonal membrane possesses a positive charge while its inner surface becomes negatively charged. See, the outer surface becomes positively and inner surface becomes negatively charged. The electrical potential difference across the resting plasma membrane is called resting potential. So, you can see the resting potential here. Then, what happened during the time of stimulus reached to that? That means when a stimulus is applied at a state on the polarized membrane, the membrane at the site of A becomes freely permeable to sodium ions. The diagram is there in our textbook. This leads to a rapid influx of sodium followed by the reversal of the polarity of the site. That means the outer surface of the membrane becomes negatively charged and the inner side becomes positively charged. See, observe this one. The polarity of the membrane at the site of A is thus reversed. See here, at the site of polarity, that is site where the stimulus is moving, there the polarity will change. It is known as action potential, which is in fact termed as nerve impulse. A site is immediately ahead, the axon. That means at site B, the membrane has a positive charge on the outer surface and negative charge on the inner surface. As a result, what happened? A current flows on the inner surface from one side to another side. So, on the outer surface, the current flows from next, that means side B to A, to complete the circuit of current flow. Hence, the polarity at the site is reversed and the action potential is generated at site B. Thus, the impulse generated at site A arrives at site B. The sequence is repeated along the length of axon and consequently the impulse is conducted. So, the rise in the stimulus induced permeability sodium ion is extremely short-lived. It is quickly followed by a rise in permeability to K+. So, within a fraction of a second, K+ diffuses out the membrane and restore the resting potential of the membrane at the site of excitation, and the fiber become once more responsive to further stimulation. Okay. So, I hope it is clear to you. Okay, you have to read a lot, children, then watch the lecture class again. Okay, thank you, children. Study well.